Another Nick no banger.
Hey everyone, what's up? This is just a replay from a decap of Holotor from Deuteria. It's really clean, it's from the neck, and it's got some nice comebacks and stuff, so I think I'll show you all. I'll go through it from both angles, and then I'll go through it showing the decap in slow motion, and then seeing what could have been done better perhaps from both sides. And so here comes the action. So Holotor sets up a basic comeback at the start, Deuteria sets up a counter, leaning backwards, getting that knee ready for when Holotor comes around with the extension of the wrist and the knee. When Holotor comes around about the chest height of Deuteria, and Deuteria will simply flick Holotor over his shoulder and send him on his way, with Deuteria gaining more points than Holotor. And here it comes. Deuteria manages to fracture the the glute of Holotor, and gains roughly 6,000 more points from that encounter. So blocking with the knee enabled Deuteria to actually gain more points than he was dealt, and so that's really a great way to remember what to do. You use your knees for offensive and defensive when the time comes. Same with the elbows, etc. So let's continue. Deuteria sets up a shoulder and raises that shoulder, creates momentum towards Holotor. Holotor then sets up a comeback with the wrists, uses his glutes, gets in the right position, and then Deuteria is setting up this kind of position, just waiting for him to launch towards him. At this point in time, Deuteria doesn't know what position Holotor is going to be in, if he can block his attack, but Deuteria launches. There's so much speed in this hit. The impact is directly on the neck, decap's first hit, and that is it, and it's over for Holotor because of the DQ. Suck my cock, he says. You suck cock. And Deuteria has set up another knee to come back with, as you can see, and uses his hip and extends his right hip towards the back with the knee contracted and the chest rotated to the left. And now let's go through this with a bit more detail, seeing what could have been done better from Holotor's perspective. So he sets up his comeback. He uses his wrist and his ankle. I think that his ankle should have probably been contracted, so his angle wouldn't have been so high. He wouldn't have gone so high over Deuteria, but instead he actually contracts. He actually extends both of his knees, so he shouldn't have done that. He should have left this knee contracted, he should have contracted this ankle and extended this knee. He did extend this wrist, which created a lot of momentum, but sadly there wasn't really enough time for Holotor to react, because Deuteria was underneath him. He had the advantage. Holotor's limbs were out of the whack. They had already been fully turned around. They weren't going to be able to be of any use, and Deuteria won that encounter. And again, Holotor uses the momentum of his limbs by swinging them around. It's really good to practice this just in single player or something like that. And then contracts both of his wrists, gets into the basic comeback position. Even though his glutes fractured, he can still use his right hip, and he does so quite nicely. He lowers his arm, gets his wrist in an alright position. At this point, he probably should have waited a turn, or adjusted, or I don't know. Perhaps he could have lowered his shoulder and extended his wrist, and that's all he could have done. That's all he should have done. Then he would have launched around. He would have been spinning towards Deuteria. Holotor could have then used another 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 knee or something, to then send himself flying towards Deuteria, but instead he launches way off the projection of where he should have been, and Deuteria strikes him quite well and decaps his head. And there's nothing Holotor could have done about that other than making better choices towards the start. And so now let's go through Deuteria's gameplay. So he starts off with the basic counters really, just getting his knees ready to kick Holotor, to block anything that's possible at this point in time. Instead he chooses for the right knee because he sees that Holotor is going to be on his left side, so he'll have the advantage when he goes to kick or block or counter. In this case he counters and he catches the glute with his shin, and then lowers his arm to gain around about 4,000 or 5,000 points, which wouldn't have been gained otherwise. And with this other hit, Deuteria gets into a reasonably good position for a for a comeback for the next turn. Turns around, rotates his chest, lowers both of the arms, has one wrist contracted, then raises one shoulder. From this point, Deuteria gets the ankles ready, gets the knees ready, rotates around, and really sets up and wait for Holotor to either make a mistake or just for another chance to come back towards Holotor. So from this point, Deuteria focuses all of the momentum in the single strike, with the single extension of the ankle, the extension of the knee, the hip, etc., raising the shoulders, rotating the chest, using the lumbar, the abs, the glutes, even the neck. Everything counts towards the momentum, everything counts towards the total energy, the total power. All of it means something. Then from this point, Deuteria gets another knee ready for the comeback, extends the knee, brings the other knee backwards, creates momentum to the back, and from there Deuteria could have easily set up another comeback by rotating his chest to the right and extending the pecs, contracting the other pec, and getting into the basic comeback stance. Okay, so that's it. If you guys enjoyed this, found it helpful in any way, leave a comment about what you liked, what you think you might like to see in the future, what you didn't enjoy. Leave a like if you did, because that gives me a nice indication of what I'm doing right, what I'm doing wrong, what I can do better. So thank you everyone, and thanks for watching. See you all later.